We left off 302. We left off with the Mechaber. It said, which is a Gemara, that a person comes upon a mes mitzvah, and he explains what's mes mitzvah, a person who has no one to attend to his burial needs. So you delay the reading of the Megillah. So the Ramo says, Kedei Tzorcho. Let's say you have 100 people come upon the mes mitzvah. But all 100 people should delay Megillah. As many as you need to attend to his needs, that many people should be the one. 1 to 2, the others. Kedei Tzorcho. Ches miloshin ze mukach dafu be'ir sheish lo kovrim. Let's say it's in a community where there's a chevra kadisha, whatever it may be. Shuvein muto bebizoyin. So if that's the case, the body will not lie in disgrace. Vazrizus l'kovru kodem urak to sevis kovad lo. But you find a person, call up the chevra kadisha, but by people being involved, that will expedite. So that will lessen the disgrace. Anything which contributes to a greater degree of honor, because he was in disgrace, that takes precedence over the reading of the Megillah. If you find a mes mitzvah and you have a person who died, and now you're bringing the mes mitzvah to burial, and it's being done by a funeral home now, which one takes precedence in burial? The Chavra Kedisha should attend to this mes mitzvah before the others. Because since this person was lying in disgrace, so attending to his needs, you're addressing the disgrace. The other person, there was never a moment he was lying in disgrace. There was always people who were going to, right? As a result of that, he should take precedence. Even when already it's being given over to be taken care of, he has precedence in terms of burial. Av Mogan Avram Hevi B'Shem Kama Poskim, Tisfil Davka Mes Mitzvah Mamish Matzo B'Soda. We're not speaking of mes mitzvah, which it's in a community where there are no relatives, but there is a Chavra Kedisha. It's like, you have a burial, whatever burial society. They'll provide whatever is needed to cover the burial needs of a person who doesn't have family. A person who doesn't have family, according to what? It's a disgrace. It's a Rahmanis. You have to come on to this burial society. People get involved to take care of them. And other people, they had family to take care of. There was never a moment, there was ever a question. According to the first opinion, the one they would have put on, what's it called? That cemetery. Not Calvary. Whatever it is. Where they bury, these fine people in the street, they bury them in Potter's Hill. Potter's Field. It's not, they would have put them on Potter's Field, not that they're putting in the Jewish cemetery. Right? So they found Jew, whatever it is, so now they're burying. Factually, it's a disgrace. So we're in the process of correcting the disgrace that they have. But a regular person dies or his family, we had his plot pre-purchased, so there was never a disgrace. But he cites the Mogan Avram. No, that's only when you find the mess out in the field. But in the community where there are people who tend to the needs of this kind of person who doesn't have family. Mikra Megillah Kodim. The Gemara says over there that Kavod Torah is greater than Torah itself. There's certain things you waive honor a Talmud Chochem, right? Certain things. Talmud Chochem, but if it's Kavod Torah, let it. So, for Kavod Torah, a person of special stature, his burial takes precedence over the reading of Megillah. It's interesting. After the burial. Now what's interesting, he says, everybody, we have an argument. If a person dies in the city, he and the family and the community has to take care of him. So some say he should take precedence to bury him, and that's the equivalent of mes mitzvah. Others say no, since there is an organization that takes care of these kinds of people, that's not mes mitzvah. Mes mitzvah means he was in the field, nobody would have even known he died, nobody would have taken care of him, and your involvement is causing his needs to be attended to. Okay? But well, let's say even the one who died in the community, and they already started the process. Somebody says, by the way, that's not the halacha, and you want to interrupt the burial service to read the Megillah. Everybody agrees that's a disgrace. Once you start the process, you finish it, and you read the Megillah later. It's like lahavdil, you're about to take out the Torah, say, oh, that's the wrong one. They didn't bring it to the Bemi. You don't put it back. Of course, there's a question why you're putting it back. Is it possible? So it's a covet for the Torah, so therefore you don't. Here, this is interesting. He says, then, what happens? You began the funeral. Originally, you thought you had enough time, and now you realize you don't have enough time to read the Megillah afterwards, because the Ramah before said that if it's a question that you're going to actually, there's not enough time for both, you first read the Megillah, and then you attend to the needs of the burial needs of the mess. Right? That's what the Ramah said. Regular, mess mitzvah. Mess mitzvah, it's only if you can do both. But if you can't do both, first read the Megillah, and then you do the mess mitzvah afterwards. That's what the Ramah said. We'll read it again today. Wait. Because you'll be able to attend to it. You'll do it. Because there's a delay. If you can do both, mess mitzvah should take precedence, because you can do the Megillah afterwards. But if you're going to be mevatel the mitzvah totally, Megillah, even though it's rabbinical, do the mitzvah first, you do the mess mitzvah afterwards. Now he's talking about another situation. Here, you started the funeral, you thought initially you had enough time for both. Then you realize you don't. Do you stop there and read the Megillah? No. Once you start with the mess, because there it's like an extreme level of disgrace. Middle, you stop in the middle, and then you read the Megillah. That's unacceptable. And you nullify the mitzvah won't be fulfilled. That's what you do. You could stop. Stop the funeral ceremony, go out, read the Megillah, and come back. No, something else over there. The Mishnah in Bracha speaks about you have grave diggers. They start digging the grave, so they take turns digging. One goes out, says, but the other one continues to dig. Here you're just abandoning the person. You're putting them aside. We're going to do our thing. We'll get back to you. It's total disgrace. Once you're involved, to interrupt it and then get back to them, that under no circumstance is that acceptable. What? As long as it's 4 amos from a grave, you're permitted. Well, let's read the Ramah again. Let's read the Ramah again. Let's read the Ramah a little further. He says, that we say the burial of the Mess Mitzvah takes precedence over the Megillah, it's enough time for both, to bury the dead and read the Megillah. So we're only speaking, delaying the reading to attend to the needs of this Mess Mitzvah. You can't do both. It's one or the other, and we're speaking. It's only delaying the burial of the mess. Ein shum mitzvah d'oraisa nidches b'nei mikra Megillah. Aval im yefshel laso shtein. No, you speak about yeah. No, we're not talking about mess mitzvah. We're talking about anything else. Let's just mikra Megillah. We spoke about shluch hakam. Shluch hakam is a mitzvah d'oraisa. We said person didn't put on tefillin. And if he doesn't put on tefillin before, you put on tefillin, or you read the Megillah. If you put on the tefillin, there's not going to be enough time to read the Megillah before sundown. Right? You put on tefillin. What's going to be with the Megillah? Forget about tefillin. Right? So he says, when does Mess Mitzvah take precedence? You're going to bury the person. That's only if there's enough time to read it afterwards. If there's not enough time to read it afterwards, then you first read the Megillah, then you attend. But again, we speak at another case. There it's speaking to begin. Right? Read the Megillah or begin to attend to the needs of the dead. The dead, then the reading of the Megillah. What about there's not enough time for both? Right? You're going to have to delay, right? You delay the burial of the Mess Mitzvah. Yeah, but here we're saying, but it's still, of course there's a difference. That's the difference. No, 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 no. Here in no, Ramos not. No, that's what we're speaking in the Mishna Berura is they started there. Once they started the procession, they started to take that we're on the way to the cemetery, and then they said we're not going to have time. There's traffic. We're not going to have enough time. We're going to pull off, go into shul, read the Megillah, then we'll continue the funeral procession. You don't do this. But Megillah is not going to be read. It's irrelevant. No, until sundown. No, it's not. It's not afterwards. The evidence we said earlier, read it without a bracha, but let's say nightfall comes. They're not going to be finished with burial until Def Tzesa Kochavim. Once Purim's over. No, the day, we're talking about the day reading. Day reading. Or it could be a night reading too. They're busy, one time they buried at night, they're busy till dawn. You skip. If you have enough time for both, and what you began. No. You finished the burial. You finished the burial. What about if there's not enough time to read the Megillah? Exactly. You skip the Megillah because the disgrace is an extreme level of disgrace. To disgrace the mess to that degree under no circumstance. No. Because the mitzvah of Megillah preceded the mitzvah of the mess. Let's say Purim already began. An hour into the time, you get a call, somebody found the mess mitzvah. What do you do? And the Megillah is called for reading an hour later. You postpone it. You postpone the reading. Even though it was said to read it earlier. So ready, Osir mitzvah means you already have the obligation. Reading Megillah preceded the obligation to bury the dead. Doesn't make a difference.
With Emor, I've got a bris, and I've got something else. And I've got the whole day to do the bris. I've got the whole day to read the Megillah. I choose my time.
Well, they both start at the same time. They both start at dawn, or they both start at sunup.
But, so now I've got burial, and I've got
The Megillah.
Megillah. So I've got the whole day. The one started first, because that's when I heard. I didn't hear about the burial until later. That shouldn't have brought that principle. Because once I get started, and I was complying with the halakha and every way I get started with something, I'm stuck. I've got to finish it.
Even though it was based on a miscalculation.
No, it wasn't a mistake.
It was. You thought you had enough time. Originally, you would have read the Megillah first. You only began the burial of the dead because you thought you had enough time to do both. Now you realize there's not enough time to both. What? No, but this is the story. Otherwise, why we're saying? If you can't do both, we say, then definitely the reading Megillah takes precedence over the Mes Mitzvah. But otherwise, you should do Mes Mitzvah, so you're only delaying the reading of the Megillah. So now, person believed he had enough time, turned out he didn't have enough time. There was a traffic jam on the way to the funeral. There was a complication at the cemetery. So now the basis for being involved was a mistake. Is that called Osir Mitzvah? Not sure. No, but I'm saying I'm interested because there's a disgrace aspect. It's maybe I'm not sure if it's just Osir Mitzvah. Continue. Maybe. Even though the obligation of the Megillah preceded the Mes Mitzvah.
Yeah, but once you got into the Mes Mitzvah.
Even though you weren't permitted to begin. Even though you weren't permitted to begin. You weren't permitted to begin. What's the Tanai? You read the Megillah. You're not going to have time.
I want to read the Megillah.
You're nonos. You're nonos. Yeah.
I would normally read the, as you said yourself, I would normally read the Megillah.
But
Okay, but I have time to read the Megillah, but Mes Mitzvah proceeds right now. But in case there's a complication.
no, you can't do it. No, you can't do it. Either because Osir Mitzvah, put them in the mitzvah, or because it's a disgrace. Factually, you're disgracing the mess. I hear what you're saying.
It seems to me that there could be two halves. So, for example, a doctor. So a doctor has to say the Kriyat Shema in the morning. And that begins with the So he's sleeping till 7 o'clock, which is normal time.
That's pikuach nefesh. That's pikuach
Then
nefesh.
he gets called up to go and attend, and Mr. Nazir is pikuach nefesh.
It's not a
And
good.
he's busy with that. You can never hold him liable for not having got up an hour early.
No, no, no. Because no. We're not speaking about
Because that
liability.
mitzvah came
It's true. That's of course. That's something else. That's something else. We're not speaking about liability here. We're not speaking. Already. We need another battery in there. There's another battery in the cabinet. Second. Volim nogim lomo kodem Megillah. He says, even though that should be the position, but the minog is not this way. We have a bris and shul before, not talking about the Suda. We have the bris and shul before the reading of Megillah. Kamon subsim topresh tzadi gimel. But you always have the bris also in the morning. There's like zrizim magdim and the mitzvahs. No, he says you should do the Megillah first. But he says even that you should do, but the minig olam is not. He says, as he will explain later, the basis for the minig. You do the bris first. You do the bris before the Megillah. Even though you should do the Megillah before the bris, because Pesumim Isa, because there's enough time to do both. But that's always this way. It's always this way. You said before. Because that's again, it's not. You say Krishma before the Megillah, right? Let's see davening. There's enough time to daven later. Do you do Megillah before, right? There we're dealing with what's it, Todish and the Todi, the Rice Rabbanah. We're doing multiple things. You daven before. So the question is, do you do Milah before? Like you daven before the Megillah, right? So you do the Milah before the Megillah.
Do you think Megillah out of its context in its normal order, and you just separate it together after the first?
But in shul, right before Ashrei, before the end of davening. When do you do the? When you have a bris in shul, when do you do it? Very often. Sometimes they do it after Kriyas Torah.
Usually this is done after that.
Okay.
Except for the...
You're not going to have a suda here. You're not going to have a suda here anyway. On Yom Kippur, they usually have it before Musaf. That's when they do a bris on Yom Kippur, right?
People to attend to this. It's kind of optional. I mean, it's a good thing to do, but I'm not obligated. But I am obligated to do it. So that means
Yeah. You bring up another issue. The whole question should even come up. But what about his personal obligation? What should he do as on a personal level? He has an obligation to circumcise his child, and he has an obligation to listen to the Megillah. Which one should he do first? Nevertheless, he does the bris before. Yeah, I hear that. I hear it. Okay, and we'll have to take the child out. Okay. It's not that precocious. Okay. 1 second. But if you cannot do both, you're going to actually, the mitzvah is not going to be fulfilled whatsoever. Yeh lo efshel kavra balaylo. You'll be able to bury him at night. Ve'nochenamidim lo yeh efshel lo kavra achkach. Go mehalistim. Uchai gavno. Let's say you're concerned, they're going to steal the body. Years ago they had body snatchers. They would steal. So if you bury him now, he's buried. He's not buried now. Later you may not be able to bury him. V'vadim esmitzakov. There's no question because that's the Ramah. If you have a Torah obligation. Versus in Megillah, if it's just a question of delaying, we delay the Torah obligation. But if Torah obligation is going to be nullified, you're not going to bury him, period. Because they're thieves who steal bodies, then you bury him now. He's not saying rodents.
No, I'm just saying, that's an extreme case. The body may be there, but not be there. That's obvious.
He says there's a concern of listing.
What if the delay in increasing
The mitzvah is kovatik berena. You must bury him in ground interment. Disgrace with rodents, that's not the mitzvah d'oraisa. You don't bury him because you're concerned that rodents may gnaw at the body. That's not the reason. Right? The mitzvah is he has to be buried in the ground. That's the mitzvah d'oraisa. Okay, let's see the Chovos HaLevavos. Look, ultimately in the ground, the maggots are going to eat the body. Yeah, that's the lay. The tsar. Yeah, but if it's not a mitzvah, you have Kriyas Megillah before. What? That was the whole thing with Moshe Feinstein. His funeral was on Shushan Purim, Yerushalayim. There's a whole question. It's Yom Tif. It's a Yom Tif. I think what's his name? You were there? So when did they what? They said, even though Purim was totally disrupted, they disrupted Purim, and whatever, right? It was the Godla Dor. No, there were hundreds of thousands of people at the wedding, at the funeral. No, it's Yerushalayim. That's that Purim. That is that Purim.